Hey, I'm Stephen Neely, certified financial planner with Fortress Capital Advisors. And you see a lot of financial gurus out there telling people to wait until age 70 to take Social Security, and that could be fine advice. The reason being is that every year you wait to take it from your full retirement age, which for most people is about age 67, you're going to get an 8% bump annually in your Social Security income. So, that could be a full 24% higher, which is a lot of money. But in this video, what I want to do is show you that waiting until age 70 to take Social Security could be a big mistake for you. And so we're going to talk about when taking Social Security before age 70 might actually be in your best interest. I'll show you some real world examples using my financial planning software where we look at different scenarios of waiting versus taking and what kind of drives the difference in the outcome. And then finally, we'll talk about the 8 most important factors you should consider when deciding at what age you should take Social Security. So, I mentioned the gurus earlier, and the problem that I see is that they all focus on income almost exclusively, but they fail to look at the big picture. And what I'm going to show in this video is that you could actually end up with a lower net worth by taking Social Security at age 70 than you would by taking it earlier. And if your biggest goal is leaving a legacy, is in leaving the most money to your heirs, then that could be a real problem. And a lot of the people out there pushing the advice to take Social Security at 70 aren't factoring that in. When most financial planners run a Social Security analysis, or maybe if you do this on your own too, where you probably start is doing a break-even analysis. And so I've pulled some data from the Social Security Administration's website to show you what that is. And then I also want to show you one of the pitfalls, I think, of using the Social Security Administration site to run this analysis, and kind of I'll give you an idea of how you could do it better for yourself. So on the far left, you've got the age, and if you don't know, if you're eligible for Social Security, the earliest you could take it is age 62. The catch is that if you take it at age 62, rather than your full retirement age, which like I said earlier is generally age 67, the benefit is roughly a third less than it would be by waiting to age 67. And the longest you can wait to maximize your Social Security is age 70, and you won't get any additional benefit by waiting beyond that age to take it. Obviously, if you wait to age 70, that means you've really gone 8 years where you could have had income, but you didn't. And that's where the idea of a break-even analysis comes in, because they go, okay, even though my payout at age 70 is a lot higher, how many years is it going to take me to overcome this deficit that I've sort of accumulated? And so if you look at this chart, you see the fourth column, the second one to the right, it says cumulative benefit age 62. So what they show is by age 70, you've actually accumulated $72,000 of income in Social Security that you haven't had if you waited till age 70. And so even though, look, the benefit is a lot larger at age 70. It's $17,000 versus $8,400. So it's more than double, but it's going to take you to age 78 to actually overcome that cumulative deficit. So you see at age 78, I've highlighted that row. That's finally where you overcome it. And, both of them have had roughly $170,000 in cumulative income. So as I mentioned earlier, there's a pitfall to doing an analysis like this and just looking at what age do I overcome the cumulative benefit. And that pitfall is it doesn't actually take into account the effects of investment returns and compounding on the money that would have been invested that instead you're living off of. And let me tell you what I mean. So let's say in this person's situation, 62, you've got money accumulated for retirement in savings, and you're investing that money, and you're sick of it and you want to retire now, and you say, that's great, I'm retired. Let's say you don't have any rental income, you don't have any pensions, annuities, anything like that. Well, you have to live somehow. And if you want to wait until age 70 to take Social Security, that means you're going to be pulling from your portfolio to live off of. And that's fine. I mean, plenty of people do that. If you take Social Security at age 62 instead of age 70, you're going to have to pull less from your portfolio over those 8 years than you would if you waited until age 70, because you're going to have to pull a lot more to live. So the break-even analysis isn't factoring that in. And when you factor in the opportunity cost that you've foregone from the investing, because you would have been compounding your money over that same time period. So it's actually, you've dug a hole that's deeper than that 72,000 when you factor in the compounding and investment returns. So what I found typically, and it depends on how much you estimate as far as the investment return, but I find it's usually going to take somebody till about age 83 or 84 when you factor investment return in. And especially if their Social Security check was higher. I mean, honestly, 8,400, even though that's a reduced benefit because you took it early, that's quite low. If you were a high earner, even if you took it early, you might be getting 25, 30,000 starting at age 62. And so, you accumulate quite a deficit, a lot more than 72,000. And remember, you were pulling that from your portfolio. So if your financial advisor is running this, you need to make sure that they've factored in the investment return. And if you do it yourself, same thing. Now, this slide we're going to look at here, this is from my financial planning software, and they have a module in the retirement planner specifically for Social Security optimization. The current strategy is the baseline. This person is going to take Social Security at full retirement age, which is age 67. Those are the gray bars. The blue bars are, this person waits until age 70. They maximize Social Security. So you can see the blue bar is higher, and then both of them keep going up over time, and that's because Social Security has the cost of living adjustment, and so it will kind of continuously rise with inflation. What the software is telling you is that as far as annual cash flow is concerned, waiting until age 70 to take Social Security is optimal if you care about maximizing your annual cash flow. And I mean, duh, right? I don't even know why you need the software to tell you that's going to maximize it, but it's showing you that waiting to age 70 is going to give you $416,000 more over time if this person lives to age 90, which is quite a lot. So if you base your decision on that, almost every time you're going to wait till age 70. But remember what I talked about earlier in the video. If your main goal goes beyond just maximizing your income, if it's leaving a legacy, you might actually be worse off by doing this, and I'm going to show you how that happens in the next slide. So here's the net worth over time of this same exact person. So now this is the exact same person that we were discussing before. In the current plan, which is on top, this shows them taking Social Security at age 67, and then you see their net worth across time at different ages, and it goes out to age 90. The bottom table is where this same person, instead of taking Social Security at 67, they wait until age 70, which is the optimal time according to the software, and then they start taking their Social Security. Everything else is the same. Their income, their expenses, all of that. Something very interesting happens when you look at net worth. Go down the line, you see they're getting older and older, but what you should notice immediately is that the net worth for this person in the current plan, which is take Social Security at 67, is higher in all cases than it is in the optimal proposed plan where they wait till 70. And in fact, at age 90 when they die, I mean, it's more than $400,000 higher on a net worth basis. And so why is that? The reason is that in this situation, this person, all of his assets are in a qualified retirement plan, like a 401k. That means is a qualified retirement plan, when you take a distribution from that, you have to pay taxes on it at ordinary tax rates. So if you took $100,000 to live, that full $100,000 is taxed. And so, hey, you might pay 20, 30% taxes on that between state and fed, whatever it is. What's going on here is that from age 67 to 70, this person had to take extra income out of their qualified retirement plan. So let's say that this person was going to get Social Security of $50,000 a year. And so this person also, I should note, doesn't have any other income. So there's no pensions or rental income to live off of. And so they're really reliant on their Social Security and portfolio. So if you waited to age 70, so you got 3 years where you didn't have any income, that means you had to take more income from your portfolio. Let's say that you would have had $50,000 a year in Social Security at age 67. Well, that means now that $50,000 has to come from this person's retirement account. But it's not just $50,000 because he has to pay taxes on that. So he's going to have to take out more than $50,000. And what could happen for some people is, well, I needed 50, now I had to take 75. And once I get up there, I bump myself up into a higher tax bracket. Now I'm in a higher tax bracket. Not only do I have to pay more in taxes, I have to pay more in Medicare premiums because of something called IRMA. And so it kind of snowballs. So now all of a sudden I got to take $80,000 a year out of my IRA. And so those 3 years, you kind of dig a big hole. And then that's 80 times 3, you've got $240,000, and that's $240,000 that didn't have a chance to compound. And that's how you accumulated a massive deficit in net worth in that scenario. And so that's why I can't emphasize strongly enough, you need to run a full detailed analysis, think through what you're really trying to accomplish before you just decide, hey, this break even told me 78 and I think I'll live to 78, so it's a no-brainer. The next slide we're looking at, everything is exactly the same. The top one is the current plan. Person takes Social Security at age 67. The bottom one is the proposed optimal plan that takes Social Security at age 70. The only difference is that instead of all of this person's investment assets being in a qualified retirement account, they're actually in a brokerage account. And that means the money's already been taxed, it's unencumbered, and they face a very different tax situation than somebody who's pulling money from something like a 401k or an IRA. And oftentimes you're going to pay a lot less in taxes, even though there's capital gains and interest income and all of that. It's probably going to be a lot more favorable to you tax-wise. And that's why in both situations, the net worth ultimately is a lot higher than it was when it was coming out of the retirement plan. But what you should see here is that in this situation, the person's way better off waiting until age 70 to take Social Security because their net worth is a lot higher. And that has to do with the taxes that I mentioned earlier. They didn't put themselves in a situation where they blew a massive hole early on that snowballed that they could never overcome. And so that's why I can't emphasize strongly enough, you need to run a detailed analysis and think through all of the implications before you make your decision on this, rather than just looking at a Social Security break-even analysis. So we're going to finish giving you an idea of the factors you need to consider when you decide at what age to take Social Security. And so I'm going to give you first the top reasons you might take Social Security before age 70. And so the first one goes back to exactly what we just talked about. The bulk of your savings is in a tax-deferred retirement account, and you would need to take distributions in order to live. Probably you're going to be better off taking Social Security earlier rather than wait. Number 2, you've had serious health issues and you don't expect to live a long life. If you've already had cancer and it's likely that's going to come back, you got to be honest with yourself and think, well, I'm probably not going to live an extra long life. And the reality is, if you start Social Security and you get it for 2 years and you die, that's it. It's gone. It goes away. And so it's probably better to take Social Security earlier rather than waiting longer if you think that you're not going to live a long life. 3, this is one that I hope none of you finds yourself in, but you simply couldn't live without the income. It's quite common to be in this situation, and it's sad, but you could be in your 60s and get laid off and you can't find another job. If you have no other savings, what are you going to do? You're going to have to take Social Security. Right? Number 4, your spouse earned a lot more than you. This is an interesting one where it really gets into Social Security strategies, especially when it comes to being married. The there's a lot more you can do to maximize your Social Security if you're married. And so let me explain what I mean here. If you are married and you're eligible for Social Security, you can take the higher of your Social Security benefit or 50% of your spouse's Social Security benefit at their regular full retirement age, which again is about 67. What happens in a lot of households, there might have been one breadwinner that really had a much higher income than their spouse. And generally when that's the case, that spouse's Social Security is going to be quite low. So maybe their full retirement benefit at age 67 is only $1,000 a month, whereas their spouse's full retirement benefit at age 67 is like $4,000 a month. What you can do, and you got to consider the other factors that we talked about, but one great strategy that you could take advantage of would be this. The lower earning spouse takes Social Security at 67. Say it's $1,000 a month, it's $12,000 a year. Now, the higher earning spouse, they wait until age 70 to claim theirs. So what happens is it's going to be 24% higher than the 4,000. So now all of a sudden, I mean, you got roughly another $1,000 of monthly income by waiting until age 70. And what you do is when the higher earning spouse turns 70, then he or she claims the Social Security benefit. And then you, the lower earning spouse, you switch over to the spousal benefit. And now you get 50% of that. And in this case, what I told you, 50% of 4,000, which would have been the full retirement benefit at 67, is 2,000. And so you're better off. So you got $36,000 of benefits for those 3 years, and then you bump up your benefit, and you guys are, both kind of maximizing what you could do with that. So that can be a great strategy. Again, you still need to consider all the other factors, but spouses in that situation have quite an advantage over somebody who might be single. And so the last one here, and this is kind of what we've been talking about the whole time. If you care about leaving a legacy and you've run a financial plan that shows your total net worth would be a lot higher by taking Social Security earlier, well, that pretty much tells you that's what you should do. Now let's look at the reasons why you would wait until age 70 to take Social Security. The biggest one, of course, is as a hedge against living a long life. If you've got a 24% higher payout by waiting, and that's only going to compound over time with the cost of living adjustments. If you live to 105, you're definitely going to be better off waiting to take Social Security. And so if you have other types of income coming in, heck, you might as well wait. And that goes to point number 2, you don't need the income. So if you're already covered because let's say you were a government employee or something, you had a bunch of income coming in, well, hey, you're not going to need to take Social Security earlier. Just wait. Maximize the benefit. Last, goes back to everything we've been saying. If a detailed financial plan shows you're going to be better off in most situations waiting to age 70, well, you might as well wait until age 70. The only reason I can think of not would be that health issue. I mean, if you've been diagnosed with terminal cancer, sadly, you probably just take it now and at least get something. So I post videos on retirement and investing weekly. If you like this, hit subscribe and you'll get my next video. Take care.